One of the most beautiful events of the Jewish year is the gathering on Chol HaMoed in the intermediate days of the festival in Yerushalayim, Kodesh, by the Kotel, by the Wailing Wall, by the Western Wall. There's a gathering to hear the Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing. A sea of Kohanim put their talesim over their heads and give the people assembled their Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing. In fact, in Eretz Yisrael, in numerous places, the bracha is given every single day by the repetition of the Amidah and Shacharis. In some places in Eretz Yisrael, it's only done on Shabbos. And in the diaspora, Birchas Kohanim is only given on Yom Tov. And the reason is because in order to give and receive that blessing, one must be in a state of simcha, of great joy. And since there's great joy on the festivals, on the Yomim Tovim, therefore on Chag, that's why in Chul, in the diaspora, the Birchas Kohanim is given only on Yom Tov. What is so special about Birchas Kohanim? We find that HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructs Moshe to tell Aaron that when he wishes to bless the people, is instructed that he should say these words, Yavarechecha Hashem Yishmerecha, etc. The Birchas Kohanim. And there are so many interpretations of the bracha and so many Kabbalistic deep secrets within the bracha. We're going today to present something which is written by the Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah in a mimer called Uparach Mate Aaron, which is brought in Parshas Korach. Now, Korach, he disputed the leadership. There was a leadership contest, so to speak, because Korach felt it was unfair that Moshe and Aaron had taken the Gedula, the greatness, from themselves. Moshe was the king, Aaron was the high priest. And so, as we know the sad story, the earth swallowed up Korach and his followers, and Hashem told Moshe that in order to make sure that everybody understood that the choice of Aaron as the Kohen Gadol was from Hashem, each tribe should take a stick and should place it in the Ohel Moed, and it should be placed in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Holy of Holies. And the next morning, when the sticks were taken out, a miracle happened. The stick of Aaron, which he had placed there, had blossomed, and it had grown flowers and almonds. The Torah says, "V'hinei porach mate Aaron," the stick of Aaron had flowered. Lebeis Levi, he was, of course, the representative of the tribe of Levi. Vayotze farach, vayotze tzitz, vayigmol shekeden. This dry stick had blossomed, had flowered, and had produced almonds. Rashi says, why almonds? Because that is the fruit which blossoms and ripens the quickest. Now, we need to delve into this a little deeper. What is the connection between Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing, and shkedim, and almonds? And to unravel that, we're first going to learn a piece of Gemara. The Gemara we're going to learn is a Mishnah in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah, Daf Tes Zayin Amud Aleph, page 16a. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah says the following: Be'arba prokim ha'olam nidoin. At 4 junctures during the year, the world is judged. Be'Pesach ala Tavua, on Pesach, the world is judged for grain, ba'atzeres al peiros ha'ilon, on Shavuos, which is Atzeres. The world is judged for the fruit of the tree. B'Rosh Hashanah kol boy olam ovrim lefanav kivnei moraim. On Rosh Hashanah, all who come to the world, meaning all people, pass before him like sheep. And ubachag, and on the festival of Sukkot, nidunim al hamayim. Everybody is judged for water. So the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah states that at 4 different junctures during the year, there's a judgment on different things. The Gemara there says, Mani mas nisim. Who is the author of this Mishnah? Loi Rabbi Meir, it can't be Rabbi Meir. V'loi Rabbi Yehuda, it can't be Rabbi Yehuda. V'loi Rabbi Yossi, it can't be Rabbi Yossi. V'loi Rabbi Nosson, and it can't be Rabbi Nosson either. Why? The Tanya, because we've learned in a Baraisa. Ugzar din shalahem nechtam hakoil nidonim b'Rosh Hashanah. Everything is judged on Rosh Hashanah. Ugzar din shalahem nechtam b'Yom Kippurim, and the decree is sealed on Yom Kippur. Divrei Reb Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Hakol nidonim b'Rosh Hashanah. Everything is judged on Rosh Hashanah. Ugzar din shalahem nechtam kol echad v'echad b'zmanoi. However, the final decree is sealed, each one in its appropriate time. The Pesach halat Tvua. In other words, the judgment is in Rosh Hashanah according to Rabbi Yehuda, but the sealing of the judgment is on Pesach for the grain, on Shavuos for the fruit of the tree, on Sukkot for the water. And man is judged on Rosh Hashanah, and his final decree is sealed on Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yossi says, no, Adam nidon b'chol yom. Man is judged every single day. Rabbi Nosson says, Adam nidon b'chol shah. Man is judged every hour of the day. So we have 4 different opinions. According to Reb Meir, everything is judged on Rosh Hashanah and sealed on Yom Kippur. According to Rabbi Yehuda, everything is judged on Rosh Hashanah and sealed at the juncture in the year. According to Rabbi Yossi, man is judged every single day, and according to Rabbi Nosson, man is judged every single hour. Therefore, the Mishnah is not according to either of those opinions. So whom, says the Gemara, does the Mishnah follow? Says the Gemara, it follows the opinion of Tana Devei Rabbi Yishmael, because in the academy of Rabbi Yishmael it was taught exactly what it was taught in the Mishnah. Now, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nosson, that either man is judged every single day or every single hour, that opinion is difficult because in a different Gemara, in the Gemara in Beitza, Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, page 17a, there the Gemara says, Mezoinosav shel Adam kutsuvin loy me Rosh Hashanah ad Rosh Hashanah. A person's food, which includes all their needs, is fixed from one Rosh Hashanah to the next Rosh Hashanah. And there, the Gemara doesn't bring any dissenting opinion. Furthermore, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah itself, Daf Ches, page 8, says, the Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Adin. Your Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment. And there's a biblical verse that says, Einei Hashem Elokecha ba, mereishis Hashanah ve'ad achar Hashanah. It's talking about Eretz Yisrael, that the eyes of Hashem are upon the land from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And the idea is, says the Gemara, that there's a judgment at the beginning of the year for the entire year. And again, it appears there's no dissenting opinion. So on the one hand, we have this concept that there's a judgment on Rosh Hashanah for the whole year. On the other hand, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nosson seem to suggest that the judgment every single day. Now, what is most astonishing about all of this is the following. A simple question. If man is judged on Rosh Hashanah for the whole year, so on Rosh Hashanah it's decided how much income, health, children, bonei, chaye, or mazoine, a person is going to get for the whole year. So it's decided already on Rosh Hashanah. It's sealed on Yom Kippur. So why daven every single day? How come in the Amidah, in davening every single day, we say brachas for refuah, we say brachas for healing, brachas for mevorech hashanim, to bring down sustenance? Why say all that if everything has already been decided on Rosh Hashanah? We must therefore conclude that there is an element that is decided on Rosh Hashanah, but nevertheless, there's also an element of judgment every single day and every single hour. In other words, Rabbi Nosson and Rabbi Yossi don't argue on the fact that there is a judgment on Rosh Hashanah. Everybody agrees to that. And in fact, it is true. Mazonos of Shalom, a person's yearly budget is fixed on Rosh Hashanah. And yet, there's a judgment every single day, which is why that it's necessary that we daven every single day. How do we balance these two items, these two concepts? We say in benching, in Birchas Hamazon, in grace after meals, Hazon es ha'olam kuloi betuvoi bechein bechesed u'berachim. Hashem sustains, he feeds the entire world, betuvoi, with his goodness, with his kindness. Now, those who have learned the Seder Hishtalshalos, those who have learned the chain order of creation know there are higher worlds, there are lower worlds. There are four worlds, the worlds of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. And when we're talking of God's goodness and kindness, that is what we would call chesed, kindness, God's attribute of kindness as it is in the world of Atzilus, in the highest world of emanation. Because there it's infinite kindness. Now, in order for that to come down the chain order of creation, so that ultimately it, to use an expression, thickens. We take something which is ethereal, something which is spiritual, and thicken it so that it becomes physical. In order for that to happen, it has to be transformed through many different levels. At each stage and at each level, there is a din, there is a judgment. If the hashpah, the influence, what is being passed from one level to the next, can go further, should go further, is it correct that it go further? And so the din, the judgment of each person and at each stage is scrutinized. Is this person befitting to receive this kindness? So a fascinating thing can happen. It could be that on Rosh Hashanah, the judgment of a person is favorable, and a tremendous amount of chesed, of supernal chesed, it's decided to be given to them. However, that doesn't preclude the fact that every single day a person has to daven, because as this kindness comes down from chesed and atzilus, through malchus and atzilus, over the bridge to the world of Bria, and then further down into the world of Yetzirah, and finally, as it manifests in the physical world of Asiya, at each and every single stage, there's a judgment, a din, and a mishpat to see how much should go down. And hence the opinions of Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nosson are not exclusive to the opinions of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. In other words, they also agree that there is in fact a judgment on the day of Rosh Hashanah for the whole year. A person's budget is fixed for the entire year. Nevertheless, a person is judged every single day. Today, is the person befitting? Is the person roli that the hashpah, the influence, should come their way? If not, it actually will remain in the spiritual world. It's there and it can be accessed later or in a spiritual sense, but not necessarily will it cascade down into this physical world. And hence, according to one opinion, Adam nidin b'chol yom, a person is judged every single day. And according to the other opinion, Adam nidin b'chol shah, even every single hour, a person is judged to see if the chesed, the kindness that is due to them, and that's been fixed for them, is actually going to come to them in that day, in that hour. It's fascinating that this chesed, which is fixed, and it's fixed, it's a fixed amount, if you want, of chesed, of kindness. And it's for a certain amount of bonei, children, chaye, health, mazoina, income. The tefillah of a tzaddik, the prayer of a tzaddik can help to shunt that limited amount of chesed from one aspect to another. There's a famous story told about the Baal Shem Tov, that there was a couple who unfortunately didn't have any children. And they came numerous times to the Baal Shem Tov and asked him for a blessing for a child. And finally, the Baal Shem Tov relented and he asked them whether they would be willing to give up their immense wealth. They were a very wealthy couple in order to have a child. And they agreed. And what happened is that they lost their wealth through various different turns of events. And yet the woman conceived and gave birth to a child. The Baal Shem Tov saw that that amount of chesed either was going to go to them in the physical sense in terms of income, or it could be changed through the tefillah of the tzaddik to go to them in the form of a child. That couple went to the Baal Shem Tov, asked the Baal Shem Tov should daven for that, and the tefillah of the tzaddik changed it. So that explains how hashpah, influence, infusion that comes to the world, that has been decided already on Rosh Hashanah, can be subject to limitation. It can be subject to analysis. Is it befitting or not that it should come down? Is the person worthy that they should be the recipient or not? And that's why we daven every single day for all the things that we need, because what we're asking for is that that chesed should come down and we should be worthy of it and we should receive the benevolence of Hashem. Now, that is all when influence comes down the chain order through normal avenues. However, there is a avenue that influence can take coming down through the worlds, which is a fast track. And that is called Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing. Aharon, who gives that blessing, is the same letters as the word nireh. Nireh means it's revealed. Aaron takes through the Birchas Kohanim, Yavarechacha Hashem Yishmerecha. Hashem gives a bracha that a person should have wealth, a person should have children, and a person should be guarded from mazikin, from any damages. That comes down and is fast-tracked by the bracha of the Kohanim. How does that work? The answer is that there are, in fact, two types of chesed. One chesed is called chesed olam, a limited chesed that comes down to the world, as we previously mentioned, cascading through the various different levels, reductions in levels, becoming physical or thickened, if you want, so moving from the spiritual state to the physical state. That's called chesed olam. And then there is a level of chesed, of kindness, called rav chesed, great chesed. That's from a level that transcends the chain order. And it's not subject to any analysis or any committee that might limit, any judgment that might limit or contain or hold back, create an obstacle to that flow. That is brought down by the Birchas Kohanim. That's called Rav Chesed. The Alter Rebbe gives a beautiful mashal, a parable to this. He says, take, for example, a very, very fast-flowing river. A fast-flowing river, nothing stands in its way. If you've got a river that's just flowing slowly, it's possible to divert the river. It's possible to put some obstacles in. So, for example, if you want to mill flour, you can take some of the water, put it through the mill, and you can build a bridge over such a river. It's only flowing slowly. If, however, you've got a river that is gushing and it's powerful, any obstacle will just be swept away by the river. Says the Alter Rebbe, that is the Birchas Kohanim. It's a bracha, it's an infusion, which is so powerful, it's like a very, very fast-flowing river, because it's coming from a source of chesed which transcends the Seder Hishtalshelus, the chain order of creation. In fact, the Mishnah says, Lo motza HaKadosh Baruch Hu kli machazik bracha li Yisrael elo hasholem. Hashem could not find any better vessel that could hold blessing better than peace. Aharon was an oihev shalom v'roidev shalom. He loved peace, he pursued peace. And a prerequisite for the Birchas Kohanim is that the Kohen is at peace with those who he is blessing. In fact, encrusted in the text of the priestly blessing is Asher Kedushanu b'Kedushasei shel Aaron, levarach es Am Yisrael be'ahava, that they must actually bless the people with love, out of love, and that they should love each other. Because that love And that unity is the greatest kli machzik bracha, the greatest vessel which holds blessing. And that ahava, which comes from the kohen, who is an isha chesed, a kind person, brings the rav chesed, the great fast flowing chesed, fast tracks it through the chain order and brings it directly to the recipient. We'll now understand the connection with shkedim, with almonds. Because the idea of an almond, as we said before and from Rashi, it's a very fast blossoming and ripening fruit. Not only that, the word shaked actually denotes mihirus, quickness. And we find that by Yirmiyah Hanavi, who in his nevuah, where he sees the frothing pot to the north, he says, Ki shaked ani al davar la'asoso, because Hashem was going to do it quickly. It's interesting that the Bein HaMatzorim, the 3 weeks, is 21 days, the days from Shiva Asa B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, till the 9th of Av. That was a 3-week period, and those 3 weeks correspond to the 21 days of the ripening of the almond. In other words, it can be, unfortunately, for that or for the good. It's going to happen quickly, though. And consequently, the test of Aaron, when there was a contest on the kahuna, who was going to be the high priest, who was going to be the Kohen Gadol, how was it resolved? The sticks were placed inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and it was the stick of Aaron that blossomed specifically with shkedim, with almonds. Why? Because the shaked, the almond, is the fruit which depicts the idea of something coming down very, very quickly, the blessing coming down quickly. May we all merit to hear very, very soon the Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing inside the Beis HaMikdash, when we will hear the bracha coming out of all the Kohanim of Klal Yisrael and the Kohen Gadol, who will bring that tremendous infusion of bracha, something which we see a tiny glimpse of today by the Birchas Kohanim, by the Kosel. We see a tiny glimpse of the future, of how it's going to be when the Kohanim of Klal Yisrael will stand on the Duchan, on the platform, and they will give this tremendous bracha, Yivarechecha Hashem Yishmerecha, brachas of children, brachas of mammon, of tremendous financial wealth. And what does the Medrash say? V'yishmerecha, Hashem should guard you from any mazikim. What does that mean? In the bracha of Birchas Kohanim, Hashem guards us that there should be no element which will accuse or damage that flow, but rather everything should be put aside. The blessing should be fast-tracked, and Yidden given everything that they need, with children in good health and sustenance, all in a very broad manner. May we merit to see that bracha with our own eyes. Our eyes should see B'shuv Hashem l'tzion b'rachamim b'mheira b'yameinu mamash.